This is where we hold them. This is where we fight.
You are now listening to Sweep the Rack podcast featuring Brooklyn Rob and Big Mike.
Rob, what's good, homie?
Yo, so last week was Bowl Expo, right? I know you probably saw a few of the social media posts, right, that went out about Bowl Expo. How cool would it be if me and you would have been able to take a week off of our full-time job and our full-time what we're doing? I mean, you're on summer break, but still your break from all you're doing, your pools and your family time, all that, right? And we're able to set up a vendor and just me and you sit at Bowl Expo and literally just take all the bullets from everybody that we've been shitting on the past 4 years, because I think that would have just been hilarious. I mean, shit, we could have even set up a dunk tank and it would have been dunk Big Mike, and you would have had a line around the building. I guarantee you would have people from all walks of life coming over to try to dunk you in a dunk tank. I was just thinking about that when I was looking at some of the social media posts.
Let me be clear, okay, about two things here. Number one, Bowl Expo is the last place I would want to be. Okay, it might as well be a convention for bowling nerds. All right, I'm out on that. Period.
Why? You're a bowling nerd. You're a bowling nerd. I know,
nerd.
We're both bowling nerds. We host a podcast, for God's sakes.
But I don't need to go to the level of a convention with my bowling nerdiness. I can nerd out in bowling without really leaving my general area, which is fine with me. Number two, bowlers in general, Rob, don't want smoke, bro. Especially a lot. If there's guys on tour that take umbrage with what we say here, or takes we may have had in the past or present, they ain't gonna say nothing to us, especially in that setting, because for them it's like work. For them it's like work, and in the work setting, even if you have beef with somebody, you ain't gonna say nothing to them. You're just gonna let it ride. You have to, Oh, so look at this, Rob. Look at this.
I gotta see, Dan, are you going or leaving Reno? Because one is better than the other.
He's leaving. Oh, yeah, he was there the last couple days. I hope you bowled well. I also want to give a big shout to Dan. Probably the nicest shirt at USBC's. I wish I would have taken a picture to bring on here. He got a shirt made with the logo from our college and the colors of our college, because one other guy that was bowling with him was on our college team. Very sharp shirt. I actually think it'll start a trend going forward if people see it. Let me see. Hold on. That's right. He texted me. Let me find the text.
I see a lot of the chat right now is kind of lit up. Don't worry, people. I am getting into Reno's ass tonight.
Here you go. That's the shirt.
That's cool.
Okay.
Like that.
You see the peacocks on it fading away, right? Nice white blue. Okay. I got one of those on the way. He was nice enough to order me one. No logo on the front, because we don't support patch piratism around here in any way, shape, or form. But great shirt.
Great shirt.
In my opinion, the nicest shirt at USBC's this year. Probably going to start a trend. Rob, we also have to address this real quick. Nico, is it really your birthday today, bro?
It is. Happy birthday. He posted.
Happy birthday, Nico. Happy birthday, bro.
Dude, our guy, man, Nico, celebrating his 28th birthday, man. Enjoy it.
Enjoy, bro. You're young, bro. Get at it.
For Nico's birthday, I will be getting into Reno's ass tonight. I am going to be getting in, bro. I am on fire with Reno, and I'll tell you why it started all my craziness when I was working yesterday. But we'll get into that in a little bit after we talk about Big Mike's league review, because I don't want to hear about Big Mike's bowling. I want to be clear about Big Mike's league review. I'm going in on Mike right now. I don't want to hear about how he bowled. I want to hear about how shitty of a bowling center he's bowling in, why the air conditioner is not working, why they're bumping disco music while he's bowling, why maybe he can't get a table for. That's what I want to hear. I know how he bowled. I don't even have to. I could predict how he bowled. Probably 180s, 190s, missed spares, threw some good shots, threw some bad shots. Am I close here with your league review?
Should we move on?
No, talk about it because people want to know anyway how you bowled. I'm just giving you shit.
No, I feel you though. I feel you. But listen, like, I don't know a lot of people bowling in this league,
Okay.
and the ones that I do, I don't know that well, right? So I'm sort of like an outsider where I'm bowling. So, yeah, there's definitely there's not as much like camaraderie, et cetera. Now, last night I was on a pair with a couple guys that bowl in the Tuesday night thing that I do, and I've known them for a while and the other one more recently. But yeah, so there's just not a lot to talk about in that regard. My bowling was just as you said. I think games 1 and 4, I shot 197 and 190 on the nose. And then the 2 games in between, I think I shot 160 and 180. So,
how many spares did you miss? I'm sure it was a few.
my spare shooting wasn't that bad. I think I missed
That's
maybe
good.
3 makeable spares in
Okay.
the 4 games, which is
So
not good, but it's not terrible either.
Let me ask you, what is separating you from being in the 200s compared to the 180s and 190s? Because this is for everybody bowling out there.
Just not knowing how to play them and just making the wrong decisions.
But why is that keep happening?
Because I don't think I have enough knowledge about ball layouts and surfaces and what to use, and I'm always second guessing myself. Like I'm always making the wrong decision. I'm always it's Dougie's birthday too. Happy birthday, Dougie. No doubt, bro.
We got Dougie shares a birthday with Nico. We got all the birthdays celebrating today. July 6th, man. Popular day.
Yeah, last night we were bowling on the Don Carter pattern, I believe, 39 feet. It's heavy volume, and I expected to be able to use urethane at least to start, and I did not think playing in would look great. And yeah, I was totally wrong. Playing in was probably where it was at, but you could also use urethane pretty effectively. But
volume?
Yeah. I mean, they're older Brunswick surface. Like urethane had a lot of hook, and yeah, I used it for 2 games. I used it for a game and 1 frame, and then I split in the first frame of the second game. So I said, all right, I got to get out of this, and I switched balls, and then that ended up being the absolute wrong move, and that's when I shot 160. And then I went back to the urethane again. And I was like, okay, I still have it with the urethane. And I didn't bowl all that great that game, didn't execute all that great, missed a spare, and I shot 180. Then the last game, I went back to reactive again and moved way left. I went to an IQ tour. And that looked okay. My execution wasn't all that great, but it looked all right, and I shot 190. I won the card game the last game for $120.
There you go. That's worth it. It's worth your trip out there. So do you bowl in the same pattern next week?
Yeah.
Okay. Were you do you feel like do you bowl on the pattern like every 2 weeks they switch patterns?
Yeah.
So the second week you really should be bowling better than the first week on the pattern.
Oh, sure.
You should know what they're doing. Okay. So
absolutely.
Next week, do you go back to? Are you going to try something different? Are you going to?
Yeah, I'm going to sand the urethane ball, and I'm going to stick with urethane longer.
Okay.
Because I think I don't think I had enough surface on it, and I don't think I stuck with it long enough. And then the last game, probably for game 4, I would look to get into something reactive and move way in. But I'll tell you what, like for whatever reason, you could attack this pattern on this surface however you want it. There was a younger kid. A no thumber, one-hander, but no thumber.
Okay, Mike Miller.
Using a purple hammer right up the crack. I mean, like 5 and right every shot. He went front 9 one game and front 8 one game. Ooh. Okay, so he had it. And then there was a kid on my pair who used I think it was a dark web tour or just a web tour, and he played left of 15 the entire night. Like started probably 18 to 10, and he had hold, he had hook right. So yeah,
slow. I would imagine he's probably slow.
No, he's super fast. He throws it a million. I mean, he catches it, but he ain't EJ Tackett catching it.
Normally when people are playing them differently than the way you see them, it's because of either their ball speed is way different than you or their ball roll is different. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously everybody has uniqueness to their game with the speed and their ball roll and stuff. The important part is when you're bowling and you're watching where they're throwing it, it's more of looking at the break point, really, where the ball's starting to hook 40 or 30, whatever feet down the lane, right? Um, anyway, so all right,
So
Mike.
yeah,
Well,
listen, I mean, I
we'll
bowled
take it.
okay.
We'll look to see what's going on next week.
Points wise, I didn't have a great night, but I won the last card game for $120. That's the
Nice.
second card game I won. I'm up $280 in card game winnings. So
Ooh,
that's always good. And yeah, I'm getting some
nice.
good work in, getting some good practice in. I'm actually going to the training center on Saturday with a couple guys who are fans of the show, and one who I've met personally and know personally at this point. But they're going to the training center from 9 to 11 on Saturday, and I'm going to go join them and practice and get some practice and get some work in. And then Monday night, I'll likely be going over to practice at Majestic. Rusty Thompson has some patterns out on Monday nights for anybody local. I think it's 15 or $20 for all you can bowl from 8 to 11. So I'll probably go hit
Oh,
that, and then I'll be back at them on Wednesday night again. I'll have them
love
figured
it.
out a little bit more. So
All right, we'll get it. I want to read some of the comments. Our fans are the best, man. Seriously, I seriously love coming here Thursday nights and reading our fan chat. Um, Skip Bayless, according to Stu Williams, he called me Skip Bayless today on the Beef and Barnesy show. Reno lover. I asked him if is he going to move down to with downtown Reno with his family because he loves it so much. Oh, of course he avoided that question because of course he's not moving down there, but he seems to like it.
I didn't get to check. I didn't get to check the show today.
Yeah,
I
a
was
bowling
watching my
ambassador.
I was watching my 9-year-old daughter take the souls of young boys out on the soccer field.
I like it, dude.
No doubt.
Hell yeah.
No
P
doubt.
Cal, what's up, man? It's good to see you. If the entire show tonight is about how big of a shithole Reno is, I'm okay with that. Mike Worm, yo, I hope you say your name right. Is it Worm or Worme? Yeah, dude, I'm gonna get into Reno tonight. Don't worry. Reno is a dump. Anthony, man, what up? New Utrecht, represent Brooklyn. Robert Hamilton in the chat. What's up, fellas? Hiring Jalen Rose. I don't know about that. Man, Jeff is this is his famous quote. The best part of going to Reno is leaving Reno. I saw, oh man, I don't want to talk about the CB Cactus event. I didn't bowl this year. Obviously, I'm taking a little bit of a break, trying some new things with my game, which has been quite the adventure so far. But I just don't know about national touring pros being able to bowl tournaments like that. I've just always thought that pros should stick national touring winning pro tournament winners should always stick to like the regionals and the national tournaments. I get why though they are allowed to bowl. I do get the other side of it is they don't really have a lot to bowl all year, so they should be allowed to bowl. Me personally, why am I going to go bowl the CB Cactus event when I got to bowl against people like Buttriff, Sam Cooley, people that I literally have probably a realistic 5% chance of beating them. And I'm an okay bowler, but these guys are bowling full time their whole lives, traveling the world and bowling. And I just it's really not even competitive, right? Like,
Yeah, I disagree with you on this one. We don't, as usual, we don't see eye to eye. So here's my question to you on that. We didn't plan this discussion, but I think this is an
you ran a
interesting
great
question.
tournament, by the way. I know everyone's welcome, but there's a little bit of a part I disagree with letting those national tour guys bowl. So go ahead, Mike. Sorry to cut you off.
So here's my
Steel's in
question:
the
like,
chat.
if you implement a rule like that, where do you draw the line?
If you won a national tour event, a national touring title, because there is a difference between a regional title and a national touring title, right? There is a big the national touring titles compared to the PBA regional. I don't mind regional titleists and people who haven't won national tour titles are allowed to bowl. Anybody other than national touring title bowlers. I don't care about Eagle winners, regional bowlers. I don't care about that, right? Other than the TAT, whole different tournament, whole different story. I love Jamie's tournament and his eligibility, but a tournament for 10 grand that's local in the area, and you have a guy like Buttriff winning, and guys like the top 3 of them were national touring. guys, and the fourth was David Haynes, who, should have been on tour for 20 years. You know what I mean?
See, that's my point, though. That's exactly my point. If you don't allow the tour guys and you don't allow the national title winners, then all that's going to happen is that next best level of guys who haven't won on the national tour yet are going to show up and win. I mean, whether that's a guy who bowls on the national tour, and whether that's a guy who bowls on the national tour and hasn't won a title yet, or whether that's somebody who has chosen not to bowl on tour full time at any point and hasn't won a title yet. So, yeah, I don't know. Like, if you're going to let the highest level amateurs in, then I don't have any problem letting tour guys in, because there's going to be sharks at some level. And I understand that that there is a line. There is a line to me on this. I think that people that are professional bowlers, right, or even professional amateurs, they kind of have to draw a personal line of like, all right, what tournament is too low of a level of competition for me to enter in a serious manner.
Like the local king of the hill, right? Something like that is what you're talking about.
Do I think they should be banned from it? No, I do not. But do I think that for an established pro to show up to a local king of the hill and mop everybody, is that something that personally I'm going to look at and be like, oh yeah, wow, love bowling against that guy? No, I'm going to be like, man, he must be hurting for money is going to be my first thought. But yeah, especially at an event for $10,000. In fact, I would say anything above $3,000. I'd say anything at $3,000 or above, to me is fair game for any kind of player to show up and bowl. If we're talking a little local $2,000 tournament, Greg Tack event, borderline to me, like. But again, there's regional titleists who bowl on the national tour who show up and win Greg Tack's events. So I don't really have a problem with that either.
You know where the big difference is to me, like if you look at like certain sports, is bowling is the only sport that actually pays amateur tournaments, that you can make money bowling amateur tournaments. So to me, this is where the big gap is in bowling, right? A pro golfer, a national guy who's, and I don't want to use golf because there's such a money difference in bowling for golf, right? But I'm just using that as an example because you wouldn't see, I don't want to use that example because it's not, you got guys making millions in the golf tour. They're not going to play an amateur golf tournament to win 10 grand, right? For me, it just comes from guys like me who are not bowling full time, who maybe bowl once a weekend or once every 2 weeks, to go up and pay $180 to try to beat Jacob Buttriff, which I pretty much is it's 5% of the time it's going to happen. It just is a little bit like, oh yeah, shocker, Buttriff wins, shocker, right? Like,
I mean, I'm a hack, but to me, if there was a tournament like I bowled Dougie's event at Parkway, the match play one, and there were quite a few big name bowlers there at that one. And like, to me, I just felt fortunate to be able to bowl in an event close to my house that had that level of competition that I was available to enter. Right. So I actually enjoy it. I agree with you.
Yeah, but you're happy to be there, Mike. Like,
I know.
When does it get to okay, I'm happy to be there and bowling, but then like, is it a really good investment? When does it separate being happy to be there from a good investment?
I think that there's a medium to both, right? Like if I'm bowling in an event like that, a good goal for me is probably to make whatever first cut there is in cash, right? And I'm realistic about that. Now if I go to a Greg Tack event, I feel like if I make the finals, I could probably win a couple rounds and find myself in the final and see what happens. Because the level of competition is not the same. But yeah, I'm just telling you the way that I look at it. I don't really worry about the investment side of it. I just adapt my goals to the strength of the field that I'm bowling against. But TD had an interesting comment here that I wanted to bring up. He said they have every right to win every dime that's out there. No bans. All right, TD, let me ask you this though. No bans at all? Like, I understand no bans. I'm with you on that. But do you agree with me that there is a line where it becomes a little bit goofy where guys of that level to show up at a particular event and just run over the local inexperienced bowlers. So that's what I would like a response on. Wow, you lit the chat up on this one, bro.
Everyone's against me on this one, which is fine. I want to talk about this one.
Dougie, feel free. Promote, bro. Promote. Go ahead. Do your thing. Go ahead.
If you are a tournament director, you make the choice of does it hurt or help entries. Honestly, that is a very good question. And Theo is probably still in the chat listening.
Question.
Theo's in the chat listening. I guess we'll find out.
It helps entries
next year.
It helps entries. And if that weren't true,
what about the tat?
If that weren't true, hold on. If that weren't true, you wouldn't get 400 people to bowl the Masters. You wouldn't get 400 people to bowl the U.S. Open when it was open and it was a Carolier. Because the vast majority of those people are going out just to say they bowled against so and so and so and so. And I think that there's a lot of that. I think that there's a lot of that, whether it's a local thing or not.
Look, I'm not saying that I'm not the type that won't bowl because Buttriff bowls in that event, right? Like in my own game, I've already proven that I could beat the best because I have, right? But like when I'm watching back and I didn't bowl this year and I'm like, oh, Buttriff won. I'm like, oh, Cortez Shank made top 4. Like, I'm like, yeah, that's a shocker to me, right? Like, it's just one of those things where it's just like, really? Like, but it's like, it just is to me, it's like one of those like, oh, shocker type moments. But that being said, I know I'm kind of getting off track here.
TD says goofy, yes, but it's like Phil Hellmuth winning the nightly $120 entry at the Rio. It's beneath him, but it's not something that never happens. Can I ask you something about that, TD? To me, a guy like Phil Hellmuth is probably contractually bound to play that $120 tournament once in a while. Why? To draw people to that tournament. Yeah, and say I sat at a table with Phil Hellmuth and I beat him. I beat him in a hand. I knocked Phil Hellmuth out of the tournament.
Poker's different, Mike. It's a little bit. Poker's a little bit different. But wait, let me finish my point.
Charlie, what's good?
You cut me off. I don't even know.
So go ahead.
I forgot what I was saying.
You were going to transition. You were going to transition into something different. We were going to wrap it up. No.
Yeah, let's wrap it up because I don't want to talk about that. But no, yeah. Theo runs an amazing tournament, okay? The CBE is exactly what bowling needs across the whole country. Tough shots, good entries, big money tournaments like the CBE where he paid 10 grand. Good format, local in the Valley area. So anybody in the Phoenix, Scottsdale, whatever, Mesa, Gilbert, all go. It's like the perfect amateur like tournaments, right? Let's pros bowl, let's regional, let's Brand Cote bowl, right? Let's all he lets everybody bowl. He has no, gripes about it, right? I'm just looking at it from a possible investment for me to go there and hack it up and and try to beat someone like Buttriff, who is probably a 5% chance. But anyway, okay. That being said, what do you want to get into, Mike? I know there's a few things we want to talk about. What's next on the agenda, honestly?
Well, let's get into Reno. It seems like that's what the people want to hear about.
Okay.
It's a hot topic on Twitter, that's for sure.
Okay.
Rob has beef with Reno.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Rob doesn't beef with people. He beefs with cities.
So I got sick yesterday. I logged on to Facebook and the Twitter, and I saw a bunch of people posting on social media talking about how they hate going to Reno. Oh, this place is a shithole. I can't believe I'm here. What a terrible city. I'm getting hassled by homeless people outside the stadium. Mike, I guess there's like encampments of homeless people outside the stadium. I'm not sure if that's true or not because I haven't gone this year. But I guess like bowlers are actually getting like harassed by homeless people as they walk into the bowling center. According to Stu Williams, though, he hasn't seen any of it. He's oblivious to all of that. So anyway, I got sick of it because I feel like USBC needs to do something about Reno. The city is a shithole, Mike. It's a dump. And I'm talking the downtown area so Wriggles doesn't get on me about the outside areas being nice. I'm talking about the radius, and I'm going to call it maybe a mile radius outside of actual the bowling stadium. Silver Legacy, Sands, the whole area around there is just a huge dump. Homeless, crime ridden, people like, just walking during the day, afraid to walk at night in that city, right? In the downtown area. In order to get there, Mike, it's really hard to find a nonstop from where you live. You have to take usually a layover in Vegas, a layover maybe in like San Francisco. The flights are super expensive, right? You have to literally like drive if you're in the West Coast. The drive is terrible, right? It's like 8 hours between like in the worst possible desert. Nobody's there. It's 115 degrees. God forbid you break down with 100 bowling balls in your trunk. Like you'll probably never be found, right? Yet USBC keeps signing. Reno keeps signing back with the USBC. Um, it's they're locked down, I believe, until 2032 or 31. So they got about another like 8 or 9 years, and I think they're going to Reno maybe like 3 more times or something. Um, it needs to stop. They're forcing the bowlers to go to a city they don't want to go to. A lot of these people are taking vacations with their family, friends to bowl, and they're stuck in this absolute dump of a city when in reality, they should be doing is renting an Airbnb in Lake Tahoe and then driving in the bowl tournament and then driving back to their their Airbnb in Lake Tahoe because Lake Tahoe is gorgeous and Lake Tahoe is only like an hour to an hour and a half ride from downtown Reno. So I kind of looked into it and I kind of did some research and found why a lot of cities aren't like making proposals, or at least good cities are making proposals for the USBC championship. And the USBC has a bunch of like requirements for proposals. But I ran some stats here real quick from the proposal, and I wanted to bring this up to you and see what your thoughts were on the USBC proposal. They did a participant profile, Mike. The average age of the participants is 55 years old. 73% are married, 56% work full time, and 29% are retired. And the average median income is about $73,800 per median annual income, is what they're proposing. They also said in their proposal that it usually generates about $35 million of like revenue into the city. Okay. So look, I'm not gonna lie, there are some good things that come from like a city hosting it, right? But they make the from okay, so I'm gonna go into what their proposal is on what they're making the cities pay in a financial part of it, right? So in order for the whole city to win it, the USBC requires a minimum construction and faculty enhancement fee of 1.5 to 1.8 million dollars. Essentially, they have to build a 56 lane facility, even though they might only put 48, with about 90,000 square feet of footage to build this convention center. Okay. Um, so essentially, they're also asking for, so they're saying a enhancement fee of between 1.5 and 1.8 million, depending on the number of lanes installed and a bowler of subsidy of $20 per unique bowler. And then the USBC will also consider a reduced fee for proposers interested in hosting multiple championships. And they go into where the 1.5 or 1.8 million dollars spends. A lot of it is shipping, manpower, materials, bowling lane purchase. And the USBC will consider in-kind products and services, including a percentage of net food and beverage sales throughout the championships. Okay, and they're also talking about other on payment schedule and whatnot. So my question to you, Mike, is if you look at the past host cities, is this a problem of that really no really major, really nice cities that people would want to go to don't really want this in their city? So like a nice city, right? So here are the previous hosting sites from 2006. Okay, Corpus Christi, Reno, Albuquerque, Vegas, Reno, Baton Rouge, Reno, El Paso, Reno, Vegas, Syracuse, Vegas, COVID, Vegas, Reno.
I mean, I would think, hearing what you just went over from the USBC, that it's not an easy sell, right? That selling the USBC Nationals tournament is not an easy sell. It can't be, a top event that cities are after to get, and we're gonna, it's a windfall of money. I mean, prospectively, it's probably a small event that brings in peanuts, right? Unless you're some small area, that really isn't used to an influx of people visiting for any reason. Like for instance, even a Syracuse. Like, can you imagine what it's like on a weekend when the Syracuse basketball team is playing a huge game? There's probably as much influx of money in that one weekend as there would be over the months of the PBA tournament. So, or not PBA tournament, sorry, USBC tournament. So yeah, again, I don't think it's an easy sell. I can't really speak on Reno much. Never went. Been there once in 1998, so I can't really speak on it. I will say that where the tournament is would definitely factor into whether I would want to make plans to go or not. Right. And Reno doesn't seem to be the kind of place that I would want to make plans to go. Like, give me another reason to go to the place. And yeah, there's definitely a better chance that I would be interested in going. But I'll be honest. I think, and this is a bad take that people aren't going to like, but I'm going to say it anyway because it's really the way I feel. I really don't understand what the attraction is to the USBC tournament. I really don't. I mean, I understand a lot of people tell me, it's to get away. You go bowl, you hang out with your bowling buddies, and you bowl, and you get away, and you wherever it is, it's Vegas, it's Reno, you gamble, and I get that. But it seems like an awful lot of money. It seems like an awful big investment, especially if you're coming from where I'm coming from, to go out there and do that. And honestly, I would rather go and spend that money on a vacation with my family, or do a second small vacation with my family in addition to the regular vacation we take. But
Mike, the interesting part of this is the average age of the people that are going are 55 and 30% of the field's retired. That tells you that you have a lot of people that are going there are retired or older that are going just to enjoy themselves and bowl with their family and friends. Jason Pavlenko, good to see you.
What up, Jay?
We're bowlers. I was there for 48 hours. Who's saying go for 6 days? They're saying the average nights per bowler is 3.5 nights is what they're selling.
But Jay, can I make a counterpoint to that real quick? My counter to that would be, well, if you host the tournament somewhere that I can now turn into a family vacation, maybe there's a better chance I'll go if I could stay somewhere for 6 days and stay and bowl for 3 days and then spend 3 days doing things with my family the whole day.
Here's a city where you bowl build a convention.
But let's talk about it.
Easy.
Hold on. We got to start our list. Our list.
Okay.
Me and Rob wanted to do a list tonight in honor of this topic, and our list is going to be our top 5 cities to host the USBC tournament, not including Reno, which obviously wouldn't be in the top 5, or Vegas because it's there all the time. All right, so Rob's going to give his first one. Go ahead, Rob.
The number 1 city in the country that needs a bowling convention built, a bowling stadium, is Orlando, Florida.
I agree. That was going to be my number 1 too.
Orlando, Florida needs it because guess what?
Robert said it in the chat earlier. Robert Hamilton said it in the chat earlier too.
If you're going to spend the money to fly, right, you might as well make a trip to Disney, right? You might as well go see the effing mouse while you're there. Make a trip out of it. Bowl your tournaments. The hotels are around. It's a perfect tourism spot for the kids, the family. Vacation, boom. All of a sudden, the entries.
It is summertime in Florida. It's a good point.
But it's summertime in Reno.
Yeah. To dry heat, they say. To dry heat.
Trust me, I live in the dry heat. It's 120 right now. If my air conditioner shits out, I might die tonight.
You would have to make sure that that the air conditioning is working good and
Okay,
whatever
so
they
we agree with the
feel.
number one city. We
I
agree
do,
it's
man.
Orlando.
Like to me, that's the big one that came up. Was like, all right, yeah, if you're gonna have USBCs anywhere and you want to give bowlers a reason to come down, especially like for somebody like me to go and stay outside of Disney and bowl and then do a few days in Disney, it makes
Oh,
that vacation even cheaper. Like
yep.
I get to bowl and get a shot at winning some money, enjoy myself, and I get to go spend the rest of the week with my family.
Oh, here's interesting. My brother's got some inside info. There was a plan for Orlando 25 years ago. I saw the plan blueprints when I worked at USA Bowling, but it never materialized. Well, whoever didn't materialize it needs to be fired because that would have been the most amazing spot for a bowling stadium, right? And who would, I mean, perfect, right? All right, Mike.
Okay. So we're on number two now. We both had the same first one. All right. I'm going to give
Yes.
number two. And this isn't me. This isn't for me. I'm not being selfish in this list. I'm trying to
Let's say Carolier.
show love to the people. Okay. I'm not being selfish. My number two would be Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. That would
Golf.
be my number two. Yeah. Because a lot of bowlers love to golf. And again, it's a place where if you want to, it's nice enough that you can bring the family, do some Myrtle Beach related stuff. There's plenty of restaurants, plenty of places to go, plenty of things to do. You know, Myrtle Beach would be my number two, especially because bowlers golf and it'll just attract a lot of guys who want to come out. Again, Jason, my point would be gives me a reason to stay for 6 or 7 days. I'm gonna bowl for 3 and then I'm gonna golf for the other 2 or 3.
Okay. My second answer was going to be San Diego, California. Okay, because I mean they have some really big, beautiful convention centers in San Diego. Now, will they, dedicate a San Diego convention center for 5 months in San Diego? Probably not, highly unlikely, because they do Comic-Con in July and they have a lot of crazy. But honestly, if you really want to do tourist attraction, San Diego. But I'm changing my number two city. Actually, I'll leave that as my number two because my number three is going to be a little bit off the chain,
All
off
right.
the bean path here.
All right, here's my number three. My number three top city to host USBCs would be Dallas, Texas. And I hate Dallas. Let me be clear. I hate
Why
anything about Dallas.
What's in Dallas?
Several reasons. Huge bowling area. Okay. If you have it in Dallas, I would expect a massive turnout. Okay, because it's such a big bowling area. All right. I would imagine. I've never been to Dallas, but I'd imagine you got plenty to do there. Right, sports teams galore. No matter what season you go in, you got great food opportunities. Right now, it's again, I'm obsessed with Pavlenko's comment here about the 6 days. It might not be the type of place that you go and bring the family and stay for 6 days, right? But I just think because of the strength of the bowling community as I view it there, plus the other opportunities for people to do things while they're in town, seems like a good city. Dallas would be high on my list. Oh, also, isn't it a major airport hub?
Yeah.
So
Dallas.
I don't think anybody would have a problem getting there, right? Most people would probably be able to get a direct flight to Dallas.
Yeah. So my brother actually took my third city, Nashville.
It's a good
one. Nashville's a great. I've
never
been there, but I hear
me either.
Amazing
a lot of people go there.
Would love to go visit Nashville, right? Go bowl for a few days, hit up the downtown for a couple of days, right? Party a little bit, go, hear some, some of that music that is really well known down there, right? So I mean, Nashville's a hot spot for sure, and I think it would be not as expensive to be down there. So, I think I'm still upset over the Orlando. Never kind of, it doesn't even have to be in Orlando. Essentially, the bowling stadium could be 30, 45 miles outside of Disney, so it's not crazy. But you also need about 600 rooms per night. FYI, the USBC, that's a mandatory. You have to have 600 rooms available, so you have to be at least closer to the hotels too. But Nashville is my other one. Yep.
Okay.
Well, San Diego, TD talks about Anaheim. San Diego is only about an hour and a half from Disney in Anaheim. So that's why you got SeaWorld, you got Disney World, you got Universal Studios, you got the Warner Brothers. San Diego in that area is also a pretty good like hub would be for a bowling stadium.
People are going to think I'm an absolute homer on this one.
Oh, great! Here we go. New Jersey. We're going to Somerset, Marlborough, New Jersey.
People think I'm going to think I'm an absolute homer on this one, but I do think that the northern New Jersey area would be a really good. I'm serious. Listen, hear me
everybody
out.
turned out for the Bolero tournaments over there. I'm sure they'll turn out for the USBC.
Hear me out. It's a really great area. What better area of the country is there? You're in New York City, bro. You're from New York City. You know what a great city it is. And here's the thing. North Jersey, I know a lot of people knock it, stereotype it, Soprano style, this and that, but North Jersey is really a great section of New Jersey. It's really close to New York. There's tons of stuff to do, tons of food options, travel, et cetera, in terms of like attractions and things of that nature.
No, just doing the fucking Bronx shit, man. You might as well. Do it across the street from Yankee Stadium. I mean, why the hell not?
No, but I'm saying, like, how many people would love to come out, go and see a Yankee game, or go and see a Mets game in the city while they're bowling USBCs? Plus, very strong bowling area.
Yeah,
very strong bowling area.
So, for me, the most realistic. Okay, we're gonna talk realistic cities. To me, out of all the cities we've mentioned, except for maybe Orlando, which I think Orlando would be open to it. I mean, if they were open to it 25 years ago, they could entertain it if they really wanted to. Chicago, okay? Chicago area is, I mean, I lived there for about 20 months. I know how big bowling is. Chicago is like the hub of central of travel, okay? You got O'Hare, you got Midway, you got two airports you could choose to fly into. The mass transit system is amazing out of the airports, right? You could, train into the cities. There's no issues. If you built the stadium in maybe the suburb area of Chicago, you could maybe stay in the city, whatever it is. You could rent a car and you could drive out. I mean, yeah, it's a higher, a population area. But I think Chicago would bring in everybody from the Midwest. You get a lot of entries that way. It's easy to fly in. There's nonstops to Chicago. I think Chicago to me would be a really realistic place to have essentially a bowling convention or stadium.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
My last one, and I've never been there, but I've heard a lot of good things about it. I have a few friends who've gone there and have family there actually. And I just heard that it's a really nice place to visit, easy to get around. Would be Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Mall of America?
Mall of America.
Really the only thing that I know is out there.
Yeah, Twin Cities, Mall of America.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a major hub for an airport. Minneapolis is a pretty big airport.
Right. So again, I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think logically here of like who would actually want it, right? Like where would you actually want this? Real cities that might want it. I don't want to be outlandish and say, Miami or
Hawaii,
right? Something like that has no interest in having something like this. I'm talking actual realistic places that you might see it. I mean, I think
San Diego is not realistic, right? That's not a realistic.
No, you don't think so? I don't know. I mean, I'm not real familiar with San Diego in terms of how appealing it is to conventions and things of that nature.
Yeah, I don't. To me, it's really needs to focus somewhere like in the Midwest, like Chicago, or like Orlando. Like I really think like to me like imagine they built Mike. Imagine tomorrow USBC announced that they were building a brand new bowling stadium in Orlando, 15 to 20 minutes from downtown Disney, and they were closing down the bowling stadium in Reno after 2031. Do you know how happy 95% of the bowling world would be if they were like, oh, we're closing down Reno and we're going to open up a new like stadium in Orlando? People would be absolutely thrilled. And I would be shocked if the entries for the tournament of the USBC tournament didn't so significantly raise the first 3 to 4 tournaments years they held out in the new stadium in Orlando.
Yeah, no, I agree. All right, have you said your piece about Orlando?
I said my piece about Reno. F Reno. Close the bowling stadium down. Give the bowlers what they want. It's a shithole. It's a dump. Nobody likes it. If anybody from the USBC is listening to me, call me. Get in my DMs. I'll tell you about Reno. Does it? Does it have to take somebody getting hurt in Reno, a bowler, for them to fucking wake up and realize that they probably shouldn't sign anything past 2032 there and just get rid of that freaking terrible place they call a fucking bowling city or the littlest big city in the world. Okay. I'm done.
I have a question for you.
Sure.
Like you understand that in any subculture, like in any sport or something like that, right? There's certain codes, right? Certain unspoken codes, I guess you could say, or like unwritten rules, right? In anything, any organization.
Okay, so give an
whatever.
example of an unwritten rule in a sport somewhere, so people are on the same page.
Like in baseball, you're not supposed to celebrate after a home run, or they're going to throw at you.
Okay, but more and more baseball players are doing it nowadays. Have you noticed?
I know, and even right now, there's some guy from the Reds that's causing all kinds of controversy. The people are making fun of the Washington Nationals manager because he got upset that the guy celebrated, which I think is ridiculous. But nonetheless, that would be an example, right? But there's all kinds of code breaks, like. All right, I'll give you one in a different area outside sports, like not paying if you go out on a first date with a significant other that you asked out on that date, not paying for that date is a code break.
Yeah,
like that's code break. Right. I mean, as dating code.
I get it. I get it.
You know what I'm saying?
I've been dating my whole life. I get it. Yes.
Okay.
You always got to You always got to pay, right? You want her to reach. Right, you want her to reach, and that's another unwritten rule of dating.
I don't even care if they reach. I don't even.
They gotta. Well, Mike, you've been out of the dating scene for decades. I'm in the dating. Like, I want to reach. I want her to at least.
Or like code break, talking on your phone in the movies.
Oh,
okay. There's like always
movies on your phone.
Yeah, there's always. You understand? Okay. You understand what I'm saying with this?
Okay. So let's get into bowling.
So. Things always happen to me when I bowl that make me think like, is this a code break? Do we have a code break here? Like for instance, I'll throw out a couple things. Like
I got some stuff, so we got to go back and forth.
Okay, like loud talking in the back while people are bowling.
No,
you know how some people are just loud talkers. Like I'm a loud talker myself, but when I'm in the bowling alley, if I want to talk to somebody, I make sure that I lower my tone and volume because I don't want to disrupt the people that are bowling with loud, boisterous talk or loud laughter and things of this nature. Like to me, that's a code break.
Well, if my friend or family is bowling Pete Weber, I am definitely not going to be talking. I'm going to be like, good shot. I'm going to be literally, I don't want to get yelled at by Pete Weber. Like, but I get it. Like you got to be courteous, but there's got to be a little bit of like, you can't be yelling. I mean, well, you bowl in New Jersey, so everybody's freaking loud. Everybody's yelling and talking.
Oh my God.
So here's mine, right? And I'm gonna call more of this like a pet peeve more than it is a code break, but I think this is a code break. Taking 2 shots during practice. So like you throw a full rack, and then you go and you shoot to spare.
Without asking? Like, did you ask? Without asking. No?
You're just like, oh, well, I'm bowling a full frame in practice. Like you're supposed to throw one shot.
That's 100% a code break. If you're bowling a tournament, a competitive tournament, you got to know you get one shot and that's it.
One shot, and you don't re-rack. You don't re-rack.
Well, to me it depends. Like I think everybody you can't re-rack every time. Re-racking every time is a total code break. If you re-rack every time, total code break. You take 2 shots in a row in practice. Total code break, okay? Total code break. But I will say, I think that everybody's entitled to at least one re-rack during practice. One quick
If you
re-rack.
happen
But
to be throwing a second shot every time you're up there for like the first like 5 minutes, and you haven't thrown a full rack or even 2 full racks in 5 or 6 minutes, then yeah, I'm taking a re-rack.
right,
I'm
right,
throwing a full.
right.
I'm throwing it right.
It better be under the right circumstance,
Oh,
right?
don't worry.
Again, like
It'll be like, but not
if
every
you're
time I'm talking.
re-racking every time, code break.
Yeah, code break.
Total code break. Like we're not taking the extra 15 seconds of practice time for you to re-rack every single time. That's just not happening. That's a code break. But like again, if you haven't gotten a full rack the whole time, or if you're behind the guy who's lost and he's painting pictures up there, and you're like, oh my god, like I can't see nothing off of throwing it like this. That I don't consider that a code break. I do the re-rack in practice once in a while. Nico, you're a code breaker. Nico says he would shoot the spare because he needs the practice. You better ask, bro. You better ask. You should have been like, yo, can I shoot this? Do you mind if I shoot this? Most of the time, I'm going to say yes anyway because I want the full rack.
Right.
But I do think it's a code break to just take the 2 shots in practice. How about putting your fingers in somebody else's ball?
Oh,
is that a code break?
Huge code break. That's huge. I mean, not open bowling. I get it, right? You're open bowling. You're bowling next to kids and a family, whatever. Shit happens all the time. But if you're bowling an actual league or tournament or some kind of sanctioned play, it's a huge. Even if you ask, like that's still like no. You should never even consider doing it unless after the squad's over and you say, hey, like I think we're close. Could you mind if I like put my hand in your ball?
Stu says special place in hell for 2-shot practice guys. Stu,
yeah, it's called Reno, Stu. It's called Reno.
Just yes or no. Yes or no. This has to be no. Are there any 2-shot practice guys on tour?
Yeah, throw it in the comment. Okay, so my next code break. You ready? There's actually a few I have. I have so many. Holding your hand out, or someone holding their hand out when you split.
Oh, total code break. You got to be paying attention.
I don't want to shake your effing hand.
Sometimes when I go like strike, and the person doesn't put their hand out, and then I split and they do put their hand out, I become convinced that they're black clouding me. Okay?
Yeah. No, that's funny. Stu's reaction. No tour guys do that. Imagine Pete Weber or similar reaction. It might be worth doing it as like a one of those like bloopers. I think a blooper
or like one of those setup videos where like we act like an actual competitor, but we're really like mic'd up and taped and everything. Oh my god, that would be hilarious. Go up and like take the first shot and then just stand there like, oh no, what? I gotta wait for my ball to come back and finish my frame here. Sorry.
Okay, so
oh boy,
a code break here, right? That person who always complains about their carry. Okay, every time you talk to them, they always complain that they can't carry.
I don't think that's a code break though.
What?
I think.
Oh, it's a huge like. I don't want to hear about your. It's like the bad beat stories in poker when you talk to someone.
Fantasy football. I was just thinking about that.
Yeah. Oh, fantasy their lineup and what. Nobody cares about your fantasy football lineup. Nobody cares of your bad beat story because nobody complains that you couldn't carry because guess what? We couldn't carry too. You know what I mean? Or here's another code break. Sorry, I'm gonna go in. When someone comes over to you and asks you what you're at during a tournament, when they're bowling, like when they're plus 400, okay, and they come over to you and they say, "Oh, hey man, what are you at? Like, how'd you bowl?" Because they want you to ask them how they bowl because they bowled really good, and you're just like, "Man, I don't know, like, I don't really know. Like, I'm not paying attention to my score." And then I would even ask them what they're at, even though I saw they were like leading the squad or the tournament. I got a lot of them, man. This is like 30 years of bowling experience, right? 40 years.
Yeah, but see, again, I think that some things fall into a bowling code break and some things do not. Like some things we've kind of already established, even though I'm codifying the code breaks here, right? So like wearing a name shirt to house league. Like that's, to me, that's a code break. Like, I don't know, definitely watch it. But interesting. We should keep track of this as we continue the show. We want to know more bowling code breaks, things that happen that people would categorize as a bowling code break. Okay. When someone else uses your rosin bag or towel, Jeff says. Okay, yeah. I mean, honestly, I haven't seen that happen a lot. Haven't seen that
Mistake.
happen.
That's why you got to get a sweep the rack rosin bag, so everybody knows that's your rosin bag because it doesn't look like any of the other rosin bags. By the way, that's a shameless plug for our Etsy store. You should check it out. I have one more, which I know people mentioned in the chat. 2+ lane courtesy is a code break. Okay, now keep in mind, I grew up on the East Coast. I grew up in New York. We had 2-lane courtesy where we grew up. League, tournaments was always 2-lane courtesy. When I moved to Michigan, it turned into 1-lane courtesy. Till this day, I'm still not used to 1-lane courtesy because I grew up on 2-lane courtesy. I got better at it as I went on, right? Because the PBA has their courtesy rule where you could essentially be bowling at the same time as somebody else, right? And it's a little bit distracting. But people who are giving now two plus lane courtesy, where they're waiting an extra, like for someone who's on the third lane, that's an unwritten. That's a code break to me. It's just like 1-lane courtesy. Get the fucking shit moving. Let's go home. I don't want to be here longer than I need to.
The PBA's way of conducting lane courtesy is like the best thing I've ever seen. It's so uniform and orderly, and like if everybody knows what they're doing,
everywhere,
it really allows you to bowl the quickest block you can in the given time that you have for the amount of people in the pair, right? And the way it works is, you come up as your turn on the screen. You got to wait for somebody to the left of you to go, somebody on the right of you to go, and then it's your turn to go. And that it's amazing. It's amazing. I watch and I'm just like, wow, look at how uniform this is, and everybody has 2-lane courtesy because of the way they do it. And except when somebody gets up when it's not their turn, it throws everything off. I actually try to do that in league. Like I will go up. I'll wait for somebody on the left lane to go. I'll wait for somebody on the right lane to go. Then I try to go. But you want to know what happens a lot of the time? Somebody on the left lane or the right lane jumps up and goes before me, and now I got to wait twice as long or 3 times as long.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I mean, yeah, we could keep a list, and maybe as the shows go on the next while for us, we'll keep bringing them up when we have one.
No doubt. All right, we ready to give the people what they want?
Yes, sir.
Let's do it. All right, mine's going to be quick. I'll go first because mine's going to be quick. I don't even have to look anything up. My worst of the week. It's Junior Gold Week next week.
Oh, your favorite time of the year?
Next week, my least favorite time of the year. It's Junior Gold Week next week. Tournament lasts 2 weeks. I see all kinds of GoFundMe's for people trying to make it out to the tournament, which is crazy to me. That they again like promote it as if you've already accomplished something, to the point where parents feel like they have to go to those lengths to attend this tournament. My worst of the week goes to the USBC this week, because I read online this week that Junior Gold is cashless. You cannot bring or spend any cash at Junior Gold for anything. Not a T-shirt, not a squad, not an extra tournament, nothing.
Where is it, Junior Gold, this year?
Indianapolis.
Why do you think they're doing that?
I don't know. I just think it's a real.
First
of all, I think that it's such a and a lot of people probably aren't up on this, but places not accepting cash is an issue. Like generally in our country. In fact, there's a couple major cities that have banned it. That said, no, you can't have a cashless business. Like you're not allowed to not accept cash. So I just find it, just silly of the USBC of like, oh, we're not going to accept cash. I mean, a lot of people, that may be what they like to bring, what they choose to bring. Some parents might not have access to a debit card or something like that. I just, an organization like that, they should be able to accept cash.
Yeah. True. I agree with you. Maybe there's some credit card dealings they have or something. They're getting percentage of Visa. God only knows.
Clint says he's got a 16-year-old bowling. Can't wait to get to Indy.
luck.
Clint, good luck to your son. Have a good
Yeah,
time. Safe
let him have
travels
fun.
and all that.
Don't put too much pressure on him to bowl good. Just let him have a good time. If he doesn't
For the
bowl
money
good,
you're spending, put all the pressure you want on him. Tell him you better bowl good, son.
you better come home with that trophy.
You better make it. You better at least make the first cut.
You better clap out on someone's head when you strike.
Mm.
That's what I tell my kid if I ever have one. You better clap out some strikes on some people if you're bowling match play. I don't want to see this shaking hands shit.
Today at soccer camp, my daughter, they were like they picked 2 captains for a scrimmage, and the last week she got picked first. She was the first pick out of all the kids because the kid who they made the captain knew that she could play. And he was like, "Oh, I'm going to take her." And this week, the kid who got picked as a captain, he didn't pick her, and she ended up getting picked like next to last. So after they picked him, I called her over. I said, "Yo, come over here." She comes over. I said, "Yo, you see they picked you next to last, right?" She's like, "Yeah." I said, "Yo, you better show them what's up." And yeah, she went out, was running people. I was like, "That's right. You better show them what's up." After she scored a couple goals, I said, "Yo, girl, show these boys what's up."
Yo, give them a chip on their shoulder. That's how they make it big. That's usually
No doubt.
a lot of the pros, a lot of the NBA pros, they got chips on their shoulders. The NFL players, they got chips on their shoulders. God forbid if they fall in the draft, Mike, these pros, they don't like falling in the draft. They'll come get your ass if they got chips on their shoulders.
True.
All right. My worst of the week comes from Paul St. Laurent. He's the one who posted this on our Sweep the Rack podcast Facebook page, right? This was an amazing post, and it was hilarious. So I'm gonna read it. Nice, good. That's awesome, Clint. Why do one-handed? So I think he got this from like Pinterest or one of like where you got your worst of the week, the worst of the year last year. So he
Reddit.
posted it. Reddit shouts to Paul St. Laurent. Great post, worst of the week. Why do one-hand bowlers seem to be much higher maintenance than two-hand bowlers? Most of the two-handers at my local alley typically have 1 or 2 balls and not much else. The people that throw one hand often show up with wrist wraps, 3+ ball bag rollers, thumb tape, specialized rags, and other accessories. I'd say about half of them are taking physical notes with a pen and paper, and many of them take 25+ seconds to line up before each shot for their special walk-up. Mike, their special walk-up, right? That's hilarious.
Special
right?
walk-up.
I've also noticed they are much less consistent and generally worse at the game and worse sports. Okay. Worse total sports, they're also bad, right? This is such a gem, right?
Do we know like what this poster's background is? Like, are they a worker at the bowling alley, the manager, a league bowler? Okay.
No, we don't have anything about this, right?
Okay.
So where was I? The worst of the game, worst of sports. There is a term also born out of out of our local alley, the one-handed stench. Okay, that's
One-handed stench.
stench, which posts that you can smell a one-hander before you see them. If there is a certain reason that you would need more maintenance for bowling one-handed rather than two? Question mark. This was fantastic post.
But why give it worst of the week?
What do you? This is a worse. This is what one-handed bowlers
like
are more maintenance. No, high maintenance. What? Because somebody comes prepared with tape and towel and a wristband, and they take an extra 15 seconds to throw a ball. They're high maintenance. What am I supposed to roll in there with one ball drilled with 2 fingers, so I'm two-handed? A pair of shoes? Is that being high maintenance and just getting out there and just pretty much raw dogging it? Is that where we're at?
I feel like I have an easy answer to the dude's question.
Okay.
It's because there's 2 answers actually. One answer is because most two-handers are people that are younger and newer to the game. Right?
Sure.
Yeah, it's just a fact. I mean,
it is.
Any two-hander you walk up to and say, "Oh yeah, two-hander. Oh, how long you been bowling? Oh, 2 years, 3 years." You walk up to a one-hander, say, "How long you been bowling?" Most are going to be 10 years, 15 years. So to me, that's one issue. And secondly, the two-handed bowler has less factors to deal with, an easier route to success if we're talking a regular league, right? You're gonna experience way higher scores way quicker bowling two-handed than you are bowling one-handed. Like it takes time to learn how to properly apply the right hit and spin and touch to the ball one-handed than it does two-handed. So like the two-handers aren't going to care as much. They're just going to be winging it out there, just living life on the house shot edge. Whereas the one-handers, they actually have to like worry about what their feels like and whether they can throw it the way they want to throw it. So I would say that those are the two answers to his question there.
Mike, I just got called Reno Rob. That's my new nickname, people. Dude,
Reno Rob.
Wow, you call wow. That's an insult if you ask me. You call like literally calling me a dumpster fire by Reno Rob. I mean that's not a good nickname. I don't think. No, I agree. Yeah, it's a little bit of a different ball game now when it comes to the two-handed players. They don't need as much bowling tape for the obvious reasons, right? Like they don't need, I guess. But the funny thing is, this guy is talking about like their walk up, like the one-handed player has like this snob swag that he's getting up, and he's just like, walking up to the approach, and he's like, being all like uppity, and he's taking his time on the approach. It sounds like this guy has a problem with one dude in his league, right? Like one dude holding up everybody, taking 50 seconds to throw a shot, rolling in with 12 bowling balls, right?
Yep.
Sounds like he's got a problem with one guy, and he's just sounding off. And it's a really funny post. So,
all right, let's wrap it up.
All right, Mike. It's Reno Rob.
All right, Rob, my final thought is Walter Ray, man. Still running ladders, still winning.
The GOAT
wins the Tristan Tapps Super Senior event earlier this week, a couple days ago. It was like his 125th title or something like that, overall title. Amazing, man. Amazing. The GOAT. Like say what you want, majors, this and that. No disrespect to Belmo, but Walter Ray, in my eyes, still the GOAT. Belmo might be the king. Belmo might be. Can we have a GOAT and a king? Can we have that? Sure. Because Walter Ray. I mean, at this point, I'm not sure that anybody is going to amass the overall title numbers that he has. Certainly not overall title numbers. I mean, maybe Tackett has a shot. Maybe Simo has a shot. I don't see Belmo bowling long enough to have a shot at that, especially because he's only bowling the big events, no regionals, etc. But man, Walter Ray running the ladder too. Running the ladder, vintage Walter Ray. How many Saturday afternoons did we spend watching him just doing the simple thing? We're all out there trying to do something super complicated, hook it, more revs, more hook. We all want to throw like Robert Smith. And all these years later, Walter Ray has 125 titles across the board. Remarkable.
It's amazing. He's, will definitely go down as one of the greatest bowls of all time.
Mount Rushmore.
No doubt.
Rushmore bowling. Like
no doubt about it.
No, I mean before Pete.
I agree.
Before Pete, like he represents that era. He represents that generation.
Pete will go down for a way a more different, of being.
Pete's in his own category.
Polarizing,
Pete's in his own category, yeah.
Personality, but when it came to like actually knocking pins down and just hitting the target of where you were looking at, there's nobody that did it better than Walter Ray. I mean, maybe Earl would have been the only one that I could say that maybe was just as good as hitting where he was looking, right? I mean, the guy's an amazing horseshoe champion. I mean, that's a crazy, like, just try to throw a horseshoe and come back and see how hard that is. And that guy's won titles in horseshoe pitching. My final thoughts. Guess where I was on my website, on a website right before here. I was putting in my email address and my name and my first name and last name, and I signed up for the bolero.com/barstool event
Oh, Jesus.
that is going down, where I am going to get an email from Bolero that is going to give me a ticket. Now I have to go bowl at a Bolero, and I will be signed up for the Bolero Barstool Invitational, where I will be entered in prize for a trip to the Bolero finale in Chicago, tickets to a football championship, and tickets to the basketball championship. So yeah, I'm gonna try to win myself some Jets Super Bowl tickets this year.
You trying to troll me, son?
The event of the year, Terry says, and I agree. The event of the year, better than the Masters, better than the U.S. Open.
Yeah, well, isn't that telling?
What is?
That Bolero in their social media promotion of it would say, "Oh yeah, this is the event of the year." When they own the PBA Tour, no, it's not the event of the year. The event of the year is the World Series of Bowling. The event of the year is the World Championships. The event of the year is the U.S. Open. Okay, this is certainly not the event of the year. Maybe it's the mock event of the year. Uh,
First off, I guarantee you that this tournament will get more views on social media, on the internet, than any of the tournaments that you mentioned from the PBA will.
are there any details about how they're going to do it or no?
They're actually filming on YouTube the finals or the tournament, and they're having, like, I guess, a lot of their Barstool people bowl against each other. I'm not sure if Portnoy is bowling or whatnot, but I know there's a lot of like Barstool people. As long as Frank the Tank ain't bowling, I can't stand that fool. That guy's a disgrace to all Met fans across the country, across New York City. Hate that jackass. But other than that, yeah, that's kind of where I'm as far as I know with the Barstool tournament. But yeah, I'm looking forward to entering and possibly winning.
I mean, listen, like I know that people will think, oh, Big Mike's going to be 100% negative on this, and I'm not. I'm not 100% negative on it. Like I'm partly positive on it because I would love to see bowling get put in front of different people, younger generations of people, right? Um, but at the same time, I am not confident that Barstool or Bolero will do it in a way that that's really what it's gonna lead to. Like I would love to see this done in a way where they put some kind of tournament together to coincide with some sort of coverage, that Barstool is going to give the PBA Tour, right? I would love to see some kind of event that Barstool is going to do in conjunction with promoting the gambling on bowling. Maybe they're going to make that an aspect of what they do. Like those things, I think would be amazing for bowling. Like if you have guys like PFT and Big Cat sitting around doing a live watch of a bowling event like we've done, and they're betting on it, and you're seeing them react in live time to their bets, I think that would be unbelievable. That would do so much for bowling, no question. But I'm not confident that that's what this is going to turn into or going to end up with. I think that this is probably more of like a thing to have the guys from Barstool Bowl and, run some kind of national tournament where you end up with like, average Joe Bowler who's pretty good versus your Barstool personality who's the best out of the Barstool guys. So, yeah, I'm not totally against it. I'm willing to see what they do with it and where it goes. But we've already seen Barstool come around and then drop the PBA. So I won't be convinced until I actually see the follow through.
Yeah, but that's what's his face. That was your guy that I tried to get him on the show. Me and him were communicating.
Right.
Barstool Carl. He didn't want to come on the show. So yeah, he didn't want to face you, Mike. He didn't want a piece of you.
Kevin says we could get Big Mike on board with the Barstool tourney if it was on the U.S. Open flat condition.
Maybe.
Now, you know what's funny about that, Kev, is that a guy like a Barstool personality bowling has a better chance of beating average Joe amateur on that than they do on a house shot where they really have no chance, right? So that would be a funny thing to watch because you'd have average Joe amateur struggling his ass off on the U.S. Open condition, and you'd have Barstool personality guy throwing the house ball straight down the middle of the lane, totally not impacted by what the conditions are doing. So yeah, just an interesting wrinkle there. But all right, Rob, we're gonna wrap it up for the people. Another good show. I didn't want to go into overtime tonight, but inevitably we go into overtime. It's fine. I hope the people appreciate it. I will be hitting the training center on Saturday. I'll have some reports back about that on next week. Obviously, league report, and we'll be catching up on whatever's going on in the bowling world. Thank you to all you people who show up every week. It's unbelievable to me that so many of you show up every week and come and chat with us and throw your 2 cents in. I love it. I appreciate it so much. We got much love for you guys. Rob, have a good week. All right, and check out our social media. He's at Brooklyn Rob 11. I'm at the 215th. Email us, sweeptherack@gmail.com if you want to get in touch with us. Always love to hear from the fans. Rob, enjoy, brother. See you next week.
Yeah, check out our Etsy store.
Etsy store, no doubt.
You are now listening to Sweep the Rack Podcast.